Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey David, how are you doing tonight?
Bruce, I was in a kind of a dark funk, I have to say. Had the game grades tonight. I could hardly concentrate on the game, and it was a good game. The
Mhm.
Oilers really played well. They finally reversed the scoring chance drought they'd been in. They outchanced the Jets. I think it was 16-6 or 17-6 for grade A
So,
chances in the end. They
hmm
really played well, and they played well enough to win, and they didn't, which is probably maybe justice because in the last 10 games they played a lot of games where they played poorly enough to lose and they won or they got a point out of it. So that's hockey. But man, this news about the NHL, the whole thing with the coronavirus, our economy tanking. Um, Alberta's in a tough spot. There's not going to be any hockey, I don't think, to cheer us up through this tough spot. People are going to get sick. Um, People we
Starting
know and
fast.
love are going to get sick.
Yeah.
This is not a happy day at frickin' all. It is a really crappy day. But I went and played hockey after the game. Got out on the ice and played hockey, and
Mhm.
hopefully I didn't contract coronavirus playing hockey. I was wondering about actually playing hockey, how easy it is to contract it when you're playing it, but it probably is. I have no idea. Like I hear it can spread airborne, and so anyway, so put me in a better mood playing hockey, getting out there and having some
That's
activity.
good.
But Bruce, I'm not in a very good mood, and I understand that you are not either.
Not at all, actually. I've had not a good day, particularly. A nice chat with my friend Low Tide this morning. That was maybe the highlight of my day, and otherwise things have been going sideways or downhill. Oilers losing didn't improve my mood. I actually didn't get a chance to watch the full game, so I'm going to be talking out of my rear end a little even more than usual tonight. But
You
whatever.
know the
This
thing.
game doesn't feel important at this moment because I'm not sure that
No,
what happens next, right?
no. Life, the big bad world is intruded on our little escapist fun of the NHL, which really what the NHL is always. It's not life and death. It's escapism. It's something that we're really interested in and passionate about, and makes us happy. So it's worthwhile in that regard. But the big bad world really has come crushing in, and man, you could just see this coming a mile away. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks about what's been happening in other leagues, and I said if Serie A in Italy can be canceled, the NHL can be canceled. That's exactly what looks like is going to
Yeah.
happen tomorrow. I think it's going to be postponed. And Bruce, from listening to experts, from people who know about
hmm
this isn't a 1 month thing. This is going to be around for 3 months, 4 months. It could flare up again next fall. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of unknowns, but I do think we're not going to have an NHL season or an NHL playoffs this year. That's my
Well,
feeling on it.
today the news was coming down fast and furious today. I mean, first of all, the NC2A canceled the fans going to their tournament, and last I heard, they were planning to play the tournament in front of empty barns. The NBA took it one step further and just canceled games outright starting tomorrow. They won't, well, not canceled, but postponed indefinitely, which may well mean canceled. The ISU canceled the World Figure Skating Championships in Montreal. And I mean, yesterday we got the word down about the two leagues in, was it Austria and Germany, shutting down their hockey seasons. And of course,
Slovakia, Norway.
Slovakia today, Serie A, as you know, I mean, and that's a huge league. Like, I mean, it's clearly uh, the virus has gotten the world's attention. And I mean, in Italy, they have lots of horror stories in Italy that you understand what's going on there, and it's frustrating. But I mean,
Bruce, there still may be games like until an NHL player gets this, they may decide to play games, but not before any fans, like in empty stadiums.
mhm.
And if they can continue that, I think that would be fan. Like honestly, man, we could use the pick me up of NHL hockey if they can figure out a way to make it work. So there's not any increased risk for NHL players. I mean, we're all at risk of getting this. And I don't know if playing in a hockey game makes you more at risk getting it or not. I'm not sure that it, because you're covered in equipment, you have a mask on, but I could be wrong, and I'm not an expert. But if there is a way that they can figure out to keep playing these games, and I think it would actually be a huge pick me up. I know for Oiler fans it sure would, and I think for everybody. So, like, I'm hoping, I know the instinct is, well, you got to do what the NBA does, and you got to be super safe, and but maybe there is a way, or I just could be irrationally optimistic here. I'm still hopeful, but I do expect it will be canceled. Just
Well,
the way our
certainly
society is, yeah.
things are trending in that direction, and the fact is that even without the fan element, if you're flying players around to come into cities in various states of health, and they're going through airports and hotels and together in locker rooms and stuff. One player gets sick, what happens to the team? And I mean the NBA is already dealing with that, where they would have had to shutter the one team for 2 weeks. Well, instead they decided to shutter the whole league. I just I can't see them playing in enough of a bubble that would hold together for very long.
Okay, here's my plan, Bruce. It's the
Okay?
Saskatoon plan. I don't think there's any cases yet in Saskatchewan, although probably as I speak, they found some. So you fly all the NHL teams to
All of
Saskatoon,
them. Okay.
all of them. Well, no, just the playoff teams. You end the regular season now. You start the playoffs, and
Okay.
you play them all in Saskatoon and Regina.
Wow.
Well, what do you think?
Well, how many barns they got there?
Well, they've got a. You don't have to be in. They don't have to be in huge rinks. I mean, no
I
one's
guess you
watching
don't have
anyway.
any. You've got no fans going to the game,
Yeah, no
or
fans. You just play at all the local rinks,
yeah. Well, I
and
think that's
it's the
unlikely to
Saskatchewan
happen, Dave.
solution. I think it is extremely unlikely as well, Bruce. I'm just grasping at straws, honestly. I
I
I
saw
know it's
I
going to be
saw
canceled. It's going to be canceled. It's going to be canceled.
I
I
saw a
know.
joke on Twitter yesterday that somebody posted the statistics of the number of cases in each province, and they said the same thing you did. Go to Saskatchewan because Saskatchewan had zero cases, and
Yeah.
someone else responded that even coronavirus doesn't want to go to Saskatchewan, so why would NHL players? Kind of a tasteless joke, but I got a bit of a chuckle out of it anyway.
Well, if we can, we're getting to the point, Bruce, where if we can't laugh, we will be weeping. And that
Dark
is the truth.
dark
Like,
humor is seen oil fans through dark times. But honestly, I can't remember a darker time than this in terms of just generally speaking, with as you say, things to do with the economy and people's health.
Bruce, most of us in North America right now have lived charmed lives
Absolutely.
compared to the vast history of the world and the history of Canada. People who came before us in Canada. We have lived charmed lives, no wars,
Hmm.
no major wars for most of us,
Hmm.
prosperity, um, no major disease outbreaks. This is the first
Right.
real one, right?
Hmm.
That we've ever experienced. But here we go. Here we go. We're in history now, and it's our turn. So
Well,
we'll
the
see how it
NHL the
goes.
NHL has a history. I grew up reading about the 1919 Stanley Cup Finals being canceled, and an actual player from Montreal Canadiens, Joe Hall, dying of the Spanish flu um, right after that series. And I mean, the flu bug was ripping through the teams and so on. There was just two teams left at that point, and they canceled the series, abandoned it basically. And of course, the Spanish flu was a deadly virus that took a massive toll around the world. And
And young people, healthy people, is who it hit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This one's a bit different than that.
Yeah.
The kids seem to be almost immune, and it's the old and infirm that are really and the immuno challenge, Uh, but still, everybody knows people like that. Everybody, I mean, I got my parents-in-law in Red Deer in their 80s, and I'm pretty sure they're terrified about, what's going on, and we're terrified for them. And I'm
But
not
you
a
got
young
your
person myself, you got to be a little bit sort of
yeah. Well, I'm
concerned about.
57, and I've had a bad cold for like 6 weeks. You
Mhm.
got your hand sanitizer
Maybe,
with you, Bruce?
maybe you're ground zero, David. If you're cold, it's just spreading.
I have eaten no bats that I know of.
Yeah.
All right, Bruce, this is our
Mm.
two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast about the last hockey game that will ever be played. All right, what's your good thing?
My good thing is the sight of Connor McDavid
Yes.
returning to the Oilers lineup and uh, returning with a jump in his step. And particularly, I'm going to zero in on the beautiful goal that he scored to tie the score 2-2 late in the second to so briefly tie the game up. And his, well, and credit where due, Zach Cassian carrying. How often do you see this? Zach Cassian dangling the puck up through the neutral zone while Connor McDavid runs um, uh, on his wing, and uh, Cassian feeding the pass through that McDavid then takes to the net, dekes the goalie, and scores. I mean, that's not the usual role for. It's usually Cassian riding shotgun, and he may or may not ever see the puck, right? But he made a good play there
He sure
and
did.
protected the puck nicely, and he passed it at the right moment, and he made a good pass. And McDavid, Hellebuck made the mistake of trying to outquick McDavid with the poke check, and that didn't end well for Hellebuck.
So painful. Like McDavid's flying again. Like he was just flying. He's those Draisaitl and McDavid. They're good to go. The Oilers
Mhm.
have two good lines,
Yeah.
and my good thing is the play of the second line. You know, Draisaitl is just making everybody who plays with him better this year. You know, remember he probably as recently as December, you would have had people say, "Can Leon Draisaitl drive his own line?"
Oh, we heard it for 5 years.
It was the stupidest thing. I always thought. You know, if you ever watched the 2017 playoffs, you could see, yeah, he can drive his own line. He wasn't playing with exactly, well, Connor McDavid in the 2017. He was playing with Anton Slepyshev and I can't remember who else.
Milan Lucic.
Yeah, and he was
That was
killing it.
the line in the Anaheim series when
Was it Lucic?
Yes, and Draisaitl had something like what 11 or 12 points in the series against
Yeah.
Anaheim.
So that should have shut everybody up, but it didn't, of course, because, well, we never shut up, including me. Even when I'm obnoxious and wrong about things, I never shut up. So it's how we roll here in oil country. So Bruce, and there was Draisaitl had one of his horrid moments where he made a turnover at the blue line and they ripped down
Uh,
the ice and he of course played the 2-on-1 like he was a forward
yeah.
and got allowed essentially a breakaway and they scored and so he had one horrible moment in the game, maybe a few other iffy ones, but man, he was in on so many scoring chances, driving the puck at the net, setting up other players. He
Mhm.
is such a fantastic offensive hockey player, and I can't wait to see him play another hockey game. And that line with Ennis and Yamamoto is
Mhm.
Bruce. The Oilers have hit an absolute grand slam home run. Makes up for the
He looked
Sapulli
good,
pick.
didn't
Makes up like Yamamoto's looking like a player who was taken fourth overall in the draft or whatever. What was fourth overall player?
he? Yeah.
That's how good he looks right now. That's the
He's been
quality of his.
dynamite. He was all around the net again tonight, all around the puck, and he's a real buzzsaw out there.
And Tyler Ennis isn't much of a finisher. I wish he had a bit better shot, but he's a good player. He's smart, good with the puck, and I like him on that line. And I think that I would really like to see Nuge back on that line. Honestly, I don't know why you break up the dynamite line, and I would rather see Ennis with McDavid and Cassian going forward if there is a going forward this year. But
Right.
the Oilers kind of got ripped off. I was thinking about this. Like if this is it, you've traded these draft picks on rentals.
Yeah.
Man, that's got to hurt. But anyway,
Hmm.
neither here nor there. That line was really good, Bruce, and Yamamoto set up Ennis on a nice goal. Total hustle play by Yamamoto. Yamamoto came so close to setting up. I think it was Draisaitl. No, it was
Oh,
Draisaitl set up Yamamoto in the third, and
there
then
was
Yamamoto set up Draisaitl.
pure thievery around the net.
Uh,
And then Ennis picked up the rebound. He fed Draisaitl, and I think Hellebuck got it, or maybe the defenseman Pullman got it. It looked like a Shore goal. Henderson made a really good play, not to just sort of blindly fire it into the crowd, but to feed it to the open guy. And the open guy didn't miss the shot, but he just couldn't find a crevice in the
Yeah.
traffic in front to get it through. And I think Hellebuck got his glove up on it, was what it looked like. But anyway, it was 7 shots for Ennis tonight, 3 each
Wow.
for Yamamoto and Draisaitl.
Wow.
Uh,
Good
so
stuff.
they were bringing it. But and you know that turnover by Draisaitl that you referenced, like I looked at the I looked at the play-by-play, and I saw Draisaitl give away and then Jets goal 3 or 4 seconds later, and I'd seen the play-by-play before I ever saw the play, and I was just preparing for the absolute worst, some kind of brutal cough job directly to the goal scorer or something. And you know what? That was a shot. He shot the puck. It hit Neil Pionk on the foot. Pionk winced in pain and couldn't put his weight down on his foot, and somehow the home scorekeeper decided to charge Leon with a giveaway. Like I think
Oh,
some of this stuff is just,
not
uh,
fair.
yeah. I mean,
Was it,
maybe
you know,
he shot it into traffic and he didn't get it through the traffic, but I mean,
which is your job?
he drilled the guy on the foot. Like, it was a block shot, is what it was, not a giveaway. But anyway, end result is the same. But sometimes I think people are seeing things that just aren't actually happening, and the rush to criticize everything Draisaitl does wrong. And I know we do it too, but I mean,
Well,
it's
I
there
gave
are
him, I think I
there
gave
are
him an eight.
times. Yeah, well,
I gave him an eight.
he played about 8/10 of a great game tonight. He won 80% of his faceoffs. How's that? So 16-4.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Wow.
yeah. So
Whew. Bruce, yeah, if the season ends today, he's the MVP, I think. I think he'll win the Hart Trophy. So, Bruce, what's your bad thing?
oh boy.
I see you made a number of comments about the referees in the scoring chance
Yeah.
document, but that's not your bad thing. What is your bad thing?
Well, yeah. I'm biting my tongue pretty hard on that. Draisaitl getting run into the corner boards with 45 seconds left. When the D man runs him, hits him in the numbers and runs him into the boards, and the refs are doing this with you know, and
Would have been
Winnipeg
nice to give the Oilers a chance there, right?
gets the puck, goes down, and scores, and you know, yeah, they've just pocketed their whistles altogether. Like it's totally frustrating. Let's develop league leading special teams so that the refs can just swallow their whistles for the last month of the season. Anyway, that is a bad thing. I think I got to go with uh, the two crappy goals the Oilers gave up in the second period. One was brutal luck. I think partly James Neal trying to deflect a pass, and he deflects it perfectly into the corner, just inside the post against his own goalie to break his 0 for 2020 slump on goal scoring. He's finally found the range again. Be nice if he did that at the other end, but that's
That was a tough
here's
play.
a bright. Yeah, it was a tough play, but here's to counter your thing about the draft choices wasted for rentals.
Ah.
If they don't play any more games, Neil doesn't get to 21 goals. So there's that. So, but then the second one where Mike Smith goes out to play the puck and he bats it down, but he doesn't quite get his full stick behind it, and it trickles about 1 inch into the frickin' trapezoid, and he can't play it. In the meantime, of course, Adam Larson has read that Smith has handled the puck and he's going to dump it to him behind the net. And before he realizes that it's gone sideways, he overskates the guy in front of the net. Smith can't touch the puck, and the centering pass goes to a lone guy in front, and he hammers it home. And that was, I don't
That
want
was,
to necessarily put it on Mike Smith, but
oh, that's
you
on
know
Mike
that
Smith.
that was, yeah. I mean, it was partly bad luck. Like he didn't.
Yeah, fair enough.
It wasn't like he passed the puck from behind the net and the other team scored into the empty net. But it was he went out to make the play and he couldn't make the play. So
Yeah. And that's how you outchance a team, whatever it was, 17-6 or 16-6, and lose, right? Because the other goalie gets either
the
lucky
other
or he stands on his head,
or
and
both.
your goalie, there's just bad luck, bad puck luck, eating you alive at your own end. Um,
Winnipeg had four grade A chances in the last two periods, and three of them were in the net. They had
uh,
one in third period. According to Natural Stat Trick, the Fenwick, which is unblocked shot attempts, was one for Winnipeg, and it was the game-winning goal, and it was something like 12 for Edmonton, and they couldn't get one in.
Where's my bad thing this game? I didn't like the bottom two lines on the Oilers tonight. I thought they got nothing done essentially, and there was a few.
It's their job, isn't it?
Well, no, they, fair enough. But the zone time, offensive zone time. I'd like to see
Mhm.
a little offensive zone time. I'd like to see
Okay.
some hits and some offensive zone time. And I didn't see a whole heck of a lot of that. Now, maybe I don't know what their Corsi or Fenwick says, but they weren't great in the scoring chance column, and I didn't see them. I didn't even know. I was like, but halfway through the game, I had to check the stats. Is I thought, was Chase on playing? I couldn't even. He was
Mhm.
so not in the game. Um,
Right.
so that's my bad thing. I didn't think those two lines have particularly good games. Bruce, your number.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I actually kind of jumped the gun on my number, didn't I? But because I was well, I'll just go with the scoring chances. 17-4, 7 against, and how it completely reversed everything we've seen from the last uh, week, especially in Mikko Koskinen's games, where the Oilers couldn't get anything going, and um, they were badly. I mean, the last four games, I think the chances were average 18 against 8-4, and tonight they completely turned that around. And not that it got them any results other than, the process was vastly improved. That's what the scoring chances tell us. And it also tells us that the better team didn't win unless you include in your better team equation the fact that both teams have goalies and one of them was way better than the other one.
My number is 9.
Mm-hmm.
If the Oilers or ninth, if the season ends today, Bruce, the Oilers finished ninth
Mm-hmm.
overall in the NHL. They've had a really good year. This is a team that'll, excuse me, not many people felt would be playoff contender this year, and they have been. They're +8 on goals. They have 37 wins and 34 losses. So they're 3 games above real 500. That's a playoff team. And whatever happens, Dave Tippett, Ken Holland deserve a lot of credit, and this team does. They've played hard all year. They've won all kinds of games. Seems to me they would have lost in other years. Those years when they finished with between 60 and 80 points. This is a hardworking team with a tremendous amount of skill, and it's an organization which has developed a lot of hockey talent. Caleb Jones, Kailer Yamamoto, Ethan Bear, from within their own system. Things are looking up for the Edmonton Oilers, even as things are looking down in the world right now. So good to the Oilers organization. They're doing some things right, and
Mm-hmm.
it's been a long time coming. So now there's some talk if the season were to resume, if that's possible in a couple months, maybe, or well, they haven't even postponed it yet, so it's premature, but maybe only the top 8 teams would make it. So the Oilers would be outside of that, it looks like to me. But anyway, this is all premature. We'll see what happens down the road on that. But ninth overall, ninth out of 31 teams. That's a pretty big stride for the Edmonton Oilers. So congratulations to everyone in the organization for a job well done so far in this season and maybe for this season.
Yeah, I think if you did it by points percentage, they'd be a little bit further
They would.
down the list, but because they've played a couple more games than some of the other teams that are right
Dallas and
around them.
Carolina, yeah.
But they've got 83 and 71 games, and Dallas is 82 and 69, Carolina 81 and 68. But yeah, they're ahead of. I guess they're ahead of everyone else. So
It might be like,
maybe the Islanders 80 and 68. So they're around. They're certainly in the top 12.
yeah.
And compared to being in the bottom five year after year, that's a huge improvement.
Well, I'm feeling a whole lot better now that I've that I'm thinking the Oilers don't have to give up that third-round draft pick for the Milan Lucic trade, Bruce. Thanks for
Unless
pointing
they
that out.
decide to prorate the number of goals by the number of games played.
Yeah. Well, how many does
Yeah.
Lucic have? Doesn't he have to have 10 more?
He's up to 8.
Oh, we'd have to prorate him too, maybe.
So
So
Neil's ahead of him by 11. He only has to be ahead by 10. So I don't think there's any way to make that math work in Edmonton's favor.
Well, Bruce, it's been a long and bad day. A very bad, no good, rotten day, and it's over. So, but we might be catching up tomorrow. We'll follow the news tomorrow. Maybe we'll do another podcast. There might not be a whole heck of a lot to say if they do postpone the season. I mean, what can you say other than what we've already said? But we'll probably come back and do a podcast for that.
Yeah, well, they got to listen to the experts, and the experts say big crowds of people in small spaces is probably not good for us as a society. And if that's,
I don't see how they can play before fans anymore.
Yeah.
I can see, there's a possibility you could play to empty rinks. But I actually was at the press conference today with Dina Hinshaw, who's the Alberta's chief medical officer, and I asked her about, have they looked into canceling games or big public gatherings? Excuse me. And she said, well, it was premature to do that in Canada. That the numbers didn't warrant that. And they were talking about it. They were looking at all the eventualities. And until there was cases of what's called community transmission, where people start to get it when they don't know where it's coming from, that's when you start to move towards that. Right now, every single case in Alberta, at least, is related to people coming back from overseas trips. And they've tracked them all. They're all related to that, so they know where it's coming from. And they don't think that there's a whole lot of cases that they're not finding in Alberta, right? I think in the States, it's riddled with cases.
That's the issue. 24 of the teams play in the States. So there's no real way.
So maybe the Saskatchewan solution could be the Buffalo solution, Bruce. Saskatchewan and Alberta can band together and host every NHL game for the rest of the year. How about it?
Yeah, no.
Neither do I.
Nice idea, but no.
Yeah.
It ain't. Not in this universe.
Not in this universe. All right, Bruce. Thanks for talking tonight.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast. Oops, trying to stop this here.